Gloria Mezikovsky here in the studio at WCAT. Gloria is Glow's Kitchen, but now that is no more. It is now Glow's Eatery, the reason being that I've moved the show into the studio so that we've got an entirely different format. And you'll notice if you've watched the show before, it came from my kitchen in Wakefield, but now we're moving into the studio, and I have with me here Tom Stapleton, director of WCAT. Thank you for joining me.
Oh, it's great, Glow. I'm so happy to be a part of this new show.
Thank you.
Very good.
I'm glad to see the crew is open to having me move in.
Well, it gives us the opportunity to make the show a little bit better because we have so much control over things that are going on now. But I'm really interested in knowing if I could ask you a couple of questions.
Absolutely.
How did you get interested in preparing food and desserts and so on? I mean, how long have you been doing this?
Well, it's interesting. I'm going to say 46 years because that's the number of years I've been married to my husband, Merrill. I probably have been interested a long time before that. Yeah. But being brought up in an apartment with a wonderful mom and dad who only owned a gas stove, there was no opportunity to even touch an oven or a stove. So the first 20-some-odd years of my life, it was look, listen, and assist. If I could hand my mom something or just sit down and talk to her, maybe about the day's events at school, that's as far as it went.
Right.
So I really didn't have any opportunity to utilize a kitchen until I was married.
Well, that's amazing. So you just watched and listened and learned from your parents or your mother, and you decided at some point that, you know, I can do this, and started.
Sure.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I can do this. I look back in my notes on my first year of marriage to my husband, and we had a stove fire. And we had a lot of things that happened because I was, unbeknownst to me, very unknowledgeable about cooking and baking. So I learned the hard way. I did a lot of things. But I will say I had that desire. I had like a fever in me to want to cook and want to bake. And my husband was my best critic. So that each day when he would come home from work, he would see 3 different desserts on the windowsill, and it was up for grabs, and he would figure out what he liked at that moment in time. And then over the years, I just enjoyed hostessing parties and having wonderful treats and loved baking desserts.
Yeah. Well, now speaking of desserts, I understand that you have a wonderful book that has come out, and it says Dessert Gems. I don't know if you can see that right now, but it's a well-made book, and inside it there are a lot of treasures that Glow has put together. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Right. What happened was I went into education and was teaching and administering for many years, and then retired in 2010, and knew that I wanted to work on my heart's desire, which was, again, baking and cooking, and putting it into the written word. One of my sons is a professional photographer, and his wife, my daughter-in-law, is a graphic designer. And I got together with them, and I said, if you are willing, if you can work with me on this, we are going to put together a book. It took 3 years, and we set it up as a business. They would sit down, we would have production meetings, we would work and critique, and it was wonderful because it was dealt with on a professional level. We kept the personal to one side, the professional to the other, and 3 years later, 2013, we had a wonderful dessert party because we had a book in print.
Well, that's really great. I mean, things take time to put together, and 3 years, that's a long time, but the book, I've gone through it, and it's just amazing what you have in there.
Thank you.
Very nice. But what I'd like to do now is to think about what are you going to do today? What's your treat for today?
Well, I thought I'd start beginning anew in Glow's Eatery, And I reflected back on a trip we took to Israel in 2010. And I usually put together memory books of the trip. And there was a special restaurant that our nephew Bert took us to in Israel called Cafe Noir. And we're down here, pictured with him, at this fantastic restaurant that their favorite food is chicken schnitzel. Now, schnitzel, the derivative, came from Austria, but Israelis, Americans have picked up on it, and it's it could either be pork, veal, or chicken. Chicken has become the most famous, and it is a very flat cutlet. And as a matter of fact, it's probably no thicker than the size of a man's ring, a wedding ring. So there we were. Little did I know that I was going to be making more chicken schnitzel for the next few years, but it's a fantastic meal, and I want to show the folks how to make different varieties. There's an Israeli variety and an American schnitzel.
Very good.
So this came as an inspiration from our trip to Israel.
Well, that sounds wonderful. I think it's time to see you at work and see how you can create this great recipe that you've come up with.
I'm looking forward to it.
Right.
Okay, thank you
You're
for being
welcome.
here. Okay, so Tom, thanks for joining me. I want to show you how we put together that chicken schnitzel, especially the Israeli one. I have a lot of different thicknesses of chicken breasts. And the reason being, as you'll see in a few minutes, when I put them down on a pad or board, I use a flat meat mallet. And in a few minutes, I'm going to be really pounding away to make these very, very thin. Now, this chicken breast is far better. If people can look for a thinner piece of chicken breast, you won't have to butterfly it, nor will you have to cut it and slice it very, very thinly. So just watch. In a few minutes, I will cover it with baking parchment paper, because a wax paper will shred with all the pounding. You really need. Okay, so that I'll do in a few minutes. Now, what I would like to do now is prepare the breading, the flour, the eggs. The first thing is a few eggs. Now, the recipe will be at the end of the show, and that will be per 6 chicken breasts. I'm just doing a few for this demonstration, so I'll just put in a couple of eggs and add Dijon mustard. And then what we do is we take and just beat it up a little bit so it's well mixed. And I'm just adding a few teaspoons.
Why do you use Dijon mustard?
It gives it a nice tang. You'll note when you taste the breadcrumb and flour mix, it just gives it that little bite. That little bite. Now, when I was brought up with a fork, nowadays they use a whisk. So just mix it up. Don't have to beat it too much, just so long as it's blended. There we have it. And that will be the second dipping. The first being flour. And we'll take and put it in the flour on both sides to make sure that it's covered well, and shake it off. Then add it to the egg and Dijon mustard mix. And the last thing, we'll take some breadcrumbs, about a cup, and add your own seasoning. I do a pinch of salt and pepper.
Well, you know, Gloria, I have cooked cutlets before, but I didn't know about the flour. I just dipped it in the egg and then the breadcrumbs, and it never seemed to stick together. It always fell apart. Now
That's the American way.
Oh, okay.
And
Okay.
I'll be doing that very
All right.
shortly. The only
That's
thing
right, Tom, yeah,
is
yeah.
I'll be using egg whites. And
okay.
egg whites and breadcrumbs for the American style. Now, I just added some canola oil, and we'll get that heated up if you'd like, and I am going to add just a little bit more because I want to make sure that it fries up nicely. So we'll get that on medium. Now, we'll set this all aside, make sure that the seasoning is mixed in with the crumbs. And here goes, okay? Just to show you, it's beginning to spread out.
Yeah.
And it has to be very thin, and this one will not be as thin as we'd like it. See how it's pressing out nicely? It's probably halfway there. These, because it has the thick edge, has a long way to go. So it's also a good exercise. When we got the chicken schnitzel in Israel, it took up almost the whole plate.
Wow.
So
Wow. Oh, look at that.
as
That's
you can
nice, yeah.
see, it
Yeah.
starts to
Oh, that's
begin to
nice, yeah.
shred a little bit, so you have to be careful.
Yeah.
And I notice around the edges, and I'll take one as a sample, and make sure you don't get on this side. You always keep it on the flat side, Now there's a good example of what we're going to dredge in the flour. That big, okay? So we put it in the flour, turn it over, and then lift her up, shake it off, all your excess flour. Now place it in the egg, into the mixture. Make sure it's completely immersed. And the last step is to put it in your seasoned breadcrumbs. And we have to make sure that the frying pan is hot. Sometimes if you just flick something in the direction, a little liquid, it definitely will let you know that it is, yep, it's starting to sizzle. And while that's frying, Tom, I'm just going to try one more to make sure that we can get one pounded nice and thin.
Okay.
It's a nice way to take our frustrations out in the kitchen.
I think so. Wow.
But be careful because the center is coming out nice, but the edges
yeah,
are still
yeah.
around 1/4 of an inch. And they should be like 1/8 of an inch. But you notice how sturdy the baking paper, the
Yeah.
parchment paper is. Perfect. There, we've got it.
And what's the reason for making it so thin?
It's just the nature of the schnitzel. It's
Oh, okay.
crustier.
Oh,
It's just that it's almost like you get more then your shear cooks up faster. Yeah. And the only way that you're able to get it out is with prongs. Don't try with a spatula. It won't work.
Well, that's good to know, because that's what I would use, have used.
It'll fall apart. You have to use
Oh, I see. Yeah.
these. They're wonderful. So, again, with the flour, shake off the excess, like so. And then put it right in your egg and mustard mix, completely coated. And last, you have smells beautiful.
Oh, yeah,
I don't know if you
this is
can
great.
smell it.
That's just great. Egg and mustard. I never would have thought of that. That's great.
And I'm going to add a little bit more. Here again, the recipe is for 6 chicken breasts, so I'm only doing a few for this demonstration.
Yeah. Well, you're not going to waste the others, are you?
Absolutely not.
We're going to eat today, I guess.
But, oh, you wait till you see the others, too. There's also, and I'm going to show for moms of little kids, the chicken tenders are awesome, the chicken breast tenders. And wait till you see how those pound out easily. My daughter-in-law does it all the time with the kids. And that, if this is difficult for some moms, use the chicken tenders. So let's take a peek, see how we're doing.
Wow.
Excellent.
Look at that, huh?
Excellent. Hope you can get a good picture of that. That came out great. Now, when it's done and ready, the most important thing is to put it on paper towel so that it comes out nice and dry. Here we have it. And I think what I'll do, where that is such a big one, I'm going to start another fry pan over here, and we'll get another piece cooked up on this side. There. And this is usually served with mashed potatoes or baked potatoes.
Real
or
comfort food.
French fries,
this
you
is
know,
great.
so they do. They did have French fries in Israel, right with the chicken schnitzel. But you see how it didn't take long for it to really fry up. There, you've got it. Good. Awesome.
That's my piece right there.
And I will just shut this off so it cools down a little bit, because we'll be using this for another type of chicken later on in the show. So maybe, because this is not quite heated up, maybe I can try, without burning it, using that. So let's see if this works. I'll add a little bit more oil. There. And we'll keep it on medium. This should be okay. There. Okay, so we'll do that, and we'll use this for the chicken tenders, because I want to show you how the chicken tenders work. So like I say, stay away from the real thick pieces. Now, take a few of these chicken tenders. Just add a little bit more breadcrumb, seasoning. Yeah. Good. And, okay, we'll take a new piece of paper. And here goes. The baking paper split just a little bit, but see how the tenders are starting to flatten out?
Yep.
So they really, and they're just right for children. I know that my grandson, one of them, he loves these chicken tenders. Now see that?
It's a lot of chicken.
That's a lot of chicken, and if you notice how they come out really nice and thin. So we'll start in again, and we'll dredge a few of these, like that. Shake it out. We just have enough egg to go around. And I want to make sure this is awesome. Just flick a few little crumbs and you'll notice that it's nice and hot. There you go.
Why do you call it dredging?
Dredging is when you actually drag it through rather than totally immerse it.
Oh, okay.
So you're just sort of like going over the top, shaking it off, so you're getting the least amount of flour.
Okay, so you don't want a lot of flour.
Right.
All right.
Dredging is like dragging. That. See how huge these are, really. I mean, just little chicken fingers, and they're awesome. I'll do one more. That. This is perfect. See how nice and thin this is? That, and we're about ready to turn over the other one. And there we have that. Okay.
Oh, that looks good already.
Oh my goodness gracious, just look at that.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Wow. I mean, isn't that beautiful?
Yeah.
Got that?
That's shot overhead.
That's
going to get that one.
Wow. Okay, and we'll do this. So now what I can do, which might be a little bit unorthodox, but I might have Tom try a little piece. There you go.
There you go. Wow, that is great.
Isn't that?
I love the crispiness. That's delicious.
And you know it's cooked all the way through.
Very good.
Check to see how this is doing. See this?
Yeah.
It doesn't
take long at all, does it? No. Wow.
Nope. That's that. Oh, this is beautiful. Wow. So this is the Israeli chicken schnitzel. And now we're going to move, after we clean up a little bit, we're going to move into the American chicken schnitzel, which, by the way, is with chicken thighs. So here we have the chicken breasts. In America, they use more of the chicken thighs.
All right.
I think they're a little bit more reasonably priced. And I think a lot of our Chinese food products have the chicken thighs in them. But you'll see an entirely different approach. And so
we'll set the table for
Okay.
another demo. Now we start with American-style chicken schnitzel, and that is the chicken thighs. Now I just want to show you, when chicken thighs come from the supermarket, you'll see the very thick wedges of fat. And it would be good if you could, either with a thumbnail or with a knife, whichever, pick off as much as you can. I did that with a few of them already, and I probably will try to do a little bit more with a knife and just take and just cut off as much as you can of pieces. And it will fry off into the batter, but it's just not necessary for you to have that if you can help it. See, so just take off as much as you can. So here are the chicken thighs, and one more for good measure. And we'll take and do the same process in a few minutes as we did with the Israeli chicken schnitzel, the good old flat mallet. But this is what's different. All you need to have are egg whites. And I'm going to, usually I know how to separate the eggs. But for this demonstration, I'm not going to separate the eggs because I want to show you a little trick that I saw on the internet. And so just bear with me. Here we have 3 delightful eggs. Now take a water bottle, totally empty, and put the mouth of the bottle right up to the egg yolk, and I want to make sure that you see.
Oh my God, look at that.
It goes
Holy
right
mackerel.
in. Okay, so there's
There's one egg yolk.
one. So when you try it, make sure you touch the yolk, squeeze, and whoop, up it goes usually, but we'll try it again. If not, I'll do it again. I'll take it out. Okay, so that one didn't make it. Let's try this one. There we
Look
got
at
it.
that. Wow.
2 out of 3. So what I'll
Pretty
do
good.
is I'll just take and move, and it's not terrible if you get a few pieces of egg yolk into this particular batter, but it does call for egg whites. And I'm going to take, there we go, just has a little bit. I'm going to take and whisk it this time. So it's just a richer yellow rather than a light yellow, but here we have it.
Now, let me ask you, why are you taking the egg yolk out?
This particular recipe that I've had has not required, it's a lighter. It's usually, an egg white is thinner and
Yeah.
lighter.
Yeah.
So that this particular recipe, again, there's no specific reason, but again.
Does it taste different?
No, it really doesn't. But of course, you are going to notice that there's a little bit difference in taste because there's no Dijon mustard.
Ah, okay.
So
That's
that
right, yeah.
what you have here
Yeah,
is
yeah.
your breadcrumbs, again, some salt, and a little bit of pepper. I
Yeah.
usually don't like using a lot of seasoning.
Yeah, yeah,
So that is all you need to use. Now, for the pounding process, and that is same thing. And then take a peek. They thin out much faster,
Yeah,
if you
I
notice.
moved on you.
That's okay. That's all right. But they do thin out
Yeah.
a lot faster. It looks like it's as flat as it's going to get. without shredding it. So there you have it. And now I'm just going to make sure, another thing that's different is that we're using olive oil, and that is where you're going to get the taste. So again, about 1/4 cup of olive oil in each fry pan.
Now, what oil did we use for the last one?
Canola.
Oh, canola. Oh,
And
okay.
sometimes it's vegetable oil.
Ah.
But for this, we are doing olive oil. And I noticed that in a lot of recipes lately, they have olive oil as the primary ingredient. Okay, so that is pretty hot. So let's go with this and this. You do it quickly. Get it in and into the pan. These will cook up very nicely. And again, you can shake a little bit off like you did with the flour in the first one. As a matter of fact, if you have children at home, to show them that egg yolk, how it sucks into the cup, it's a fun thing to do.
That's quite a treat. Now, you're showing us the American version. You showed us the Israel type version.
Right.
Are there any other versions in the other countries?
All over the world.
That do different things?
Yeah. I just realized I did not do the breadcrumb.
Oh, I'm talking to you.
No, that's okay. I just pull it out and put it back in.
There you go.
There are so many different versions
Yeah.
all over the world. And it's just that I've been using these two types for quite a long time, and I find that they're terrific.
I mean, Italian, you could add Parmesan cheese probably to it.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely. I haven't really researched some of the other varieties, but I'm sure that there's a lot of different varieties that can be done. But this, I want to make sure that it's not burning too much. This one is good. And we'll keep that up. So you see that.
Oh, yeah. Yep. That's perfect, huh?
Beautiful.
Yeah, golden brown there.
And it's usually served with a lemon wedge, and then either I've used chicory because chicory is quite bold and visible. Some people use parsley, but I'll show you at the end of the program how I take and set a plate of all of these things. Now, it just so happens I didn't use baked potato or French fries this time. I did potato pancakes, or what we call latkes.
Oh, okay.
The holiday is around the corner. You can't use breadcrumbs around holiday time in April, so that you use matzah meal, but the latkes are beautiful. They're mostly potatoes, a little bit of potato flour, and so I will, after we finish this, make a display so you can see how it can best be served. And this should be, and you notice this doesn't take long.
No, this is quick also.
That chicken thighs are very soft. And if you get the right chicken breast, they are very soft too. No, they're coming out fine. A little bit thicker than I would want. If I took a little bit of extra time to pound them, you'd see that they would come out maybe another half size longer. But the flavor is there. It's awesome. And then right here, this is the chicory, and here are the lemon wedges that I'll be using. And I have, you can pinch them off, but I have a special kitchen knife that I use. And with the potato pancakes, I'll serve applesauce. And I usually get the small containers of applesauce and then put the chicory around the applesauce so it conceals the plastic container.
and
Oh, I see.
it's very
Yeah, yeah.
attractive that way.
Oh, you
So-
just keep the whole thing in? That's a good idea.
Right,
Yeah.
so I'll show you how that's done in a few minutes. Same thing as we did the last time. You take a piece of paper towel, put it on a plate, and just scoop it up. And see, on both sides,
Yep.
they're absolutely perfect. But like I say, a little thicker than I would like. That, to me, is about 1/4 of an inch, and it could be 1/8 of an inch. That. But they did come out nicely,
Yeah.
and the olive oil also gives these thighs a lovely flavor. That just needs to be cooked a little bit more. But now we'll just proceed to make a platter. So here is a nice dish of chicken schnitzel. And as you see, I put chicory around the applesauce for the potato pancakes. And then the lemon wedges, again, dress up some of the chicory. And there you have a beautiful platter. So simple.
Yes, it is.
And
It's
so
beautiful.
delicious. And I have this lovely potato latke pancake for you to try with applesauce. So I'll
right.
just add a little to, and you may
Wow.
try that. And it's been a pleasure working here at the studio. And I hope you'll venture to try these recipes. Again, you'll get the recipes at the end of the program. And I have a little napkin design here that in future shows, I'll pop in a napkin design for you to try yourself, because they're very easy. So thank you for joining me to a new show, Glow's Eatery, at WCAT in Wakefield. And thanks for joining me.
Oh, it's been a great pleasure.
It was fun.
This has been fun, really. Can't
Thanks.
wait till the next one.